Yeah, we're live. Okay, this is our first Powershell for DBAs class. I had to say that again for the recorder. A couple notes real quick. I've got some giveaways up here. Most of these are Yukon training kits for the cert exams. And I do have a couple brand new, I got SQL Server 2008 programming that I just got from Microsoft just a couple days ago. And I've got T-SQL Fundamentals for SQL Server 2008. And I was trying to figure out how I was going to give these books away during the session, because everybody always gives away to the best question or something like that. And I've made a decision while we've had all of this debacle going on up here that this is the first time I've really spoken in front of such a big group. So I think the way I'm going to do it is whoever shouts out the most flamboyant compliments while I'm giving demos will get. Don't break the bank on flamboyancy there, dude. So I've got two sets of prizes to give away. These training kits and stuff, and you can pick which ones you want. So while I'm giving demos, the most flamboyant compliment will get you a training kit. And down here I have the complete set of the Windows Server 2008 Enterprise Administration Core Requirements Training Kit. It's like a 5-volume set to get Enterprise certified in Windows 2008. And at the end of the presentation, the one who gave the most compliments gets that one. So
that's a great thing to do.
So if I'm no good, I'm at least paying you to say I am, and we'll be all good. Okay? Okay. So the reason I'm teaching this class mainly is because I've been to a lot of PowerShell classes for DBAs, whether it be at PASS or Tech Ed or presentations even given here. And one of the things that's really started to bug me was everybody always assumed some base level information in PowerShell. And I know when I first started seeing PowerShell stuff, I hadn't the slightest idea what they were talking about. They said, see how easy this is? I was like, well, you might as well have been speaking Chinese and saying, see how easy this is? It didn't mean anything to me, so it's not very easy. So I didn't lie. This is going to be, at least this first class is going to be bottom of the barrel. Here's what PowerShell is. Here's where to find it. Here's how to download it. Here's how to do the thing. I mean, it's going to be bare bones, ground up, know nothing. And then we're going to build the class. That's why I wanted to have a progressive class, so that we can actually follow a train of thought for longer than an hour, right? And so we're going to build. So if you know absolutely nothing about PowerShell right now, hopefully you will, okay?
Comprehensive approach.
Yeah. So, and you know, one of the things is PowerShell, I mean, this class is really hard to teach. I didn't know what to begin with. I didn't know where to start, because most of the stuff you're going to do in SQL and PowerShell is just plain PowerShell. It has nothing to do with SQL. You're just applying it to SQL the same way you would apply it to Exchange, or you would apply it to ISS, or you'd apply it to Hyper-V or VMware or anything else, right? So some of this is going to be SQL specific, some of it not so much, but I'll always try to tie it back into something SQL specific, so you can at least see that it all works the same. But you know, SQL Server and PowerShell is just a provider for PowerShell, right? If you want to put it in words that everybody probably already knows, it's a snap-in, right? Or an ActiveX, or whatever you'd like to call it, right? An add-in. So that's all it is. You just load the SQL provider and you go. One of the things, I'll give a quick overview. Yes?
So the snap-in you're talking about is for version 2 PowerShell?
Version 2 of PowerShell is not out yet.
Okay, because I don't think it's...
Yeah, it's not going to release until Server 08 R2 releases, like next year, is when version 2 will come out.
But right now, with PowerShell as it is, we can get the correct snap-in.
Well, okay. We're going to cover all that.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Because you're actually mixing things up already. So, okay, we've got a lot of stuff to go through, and I'm going to talk kind of fast because we've got so much to go through. And if you've got questions that are just burning, and they're going to really and they're just going to really mess you up if you don't get them answered right now, then you can ask it. But elsewise, let's save it for the end. And after Trevor talks, I'll stand here until midnight, midnight 30, and answer all the questions you need. Okay?
Can we suck up to you if you don't give us an opportunity to suck up?
I said don't ask questions. You can shout out suck ups all you want. There's a big difference. Yeah, see, there you go. Okay, so what is PowerShell? PowerShell is officially Microsoft's new scripting language based on .NET. Unofficially, it's really a lot less glamorous than that. Everybody has, or a lot of people have written .NET programs to do one thing or another. Let's say you want to, access a file easier. You want to make it easier to write to files, or you want to make it easier to do WMI calls or whatnot, right? So you've written a little .NET program that you can just pass parameters to and get those things done, right? That's really all PowerShell is it's .NET in the background, and it does it does WMI in the background, or it does some other calls in the background, and it just gives you an easy way to call it. So it's really more of a roll-up than anything, right? So, but we're calling it a scripting language because it kind of turns that into a scripting language a little bit. Now, if we were on the internet, I would say you can go here and download PowerShell, but it's just Microsoft.com/PowerShell. They've made it pretty hard. And it's got a regular download on there. You say download PowerShell version 1.0, and you go pick, 64-bit or 32-bit, and then you just download it and install it. It takes 30 seconds, a minute to install. I mean, it's only a couple meg download, and it installs really, really fast, and you don't even have to reboot, and then you're up and running. Okay? You have to download it separately for Vista so far. No. But there is a separate Vista download for it, so pick your appropriate download like anything, and it's really that easy to install. Once you get it up and running, it's just another command line. You can come in here, I hope, and type PowerShell. Ah, look at that. And here on this box, we have a 64 and a 32-bit, and all you do is hit enter, and you're right here. So it's just like command.com. Okay, I can say, if I can type. Localhost, and I can ping. So I can run. That's one of the things I really like about PowerShell. One of the things that they really got right, and I'm going to go to the one I had open. I don't know why, I'm just saying all that way. One of the things they really got right was the integration between PowerShell and the command line. That you can, from a PowerShell script, you can run any command shell program. You can run task list, just like you could from DOS. You can run ping. You can run anything that you can run from the command line. You can run from within the PowerShell window, and they're completely interactive. And I'll show you that in a minute. I'm kind of getting off a script here a little bit, so I'll kind of rein it back in. One of the things that's most important about PowerShell that you really need to understand, and it's really exciting, is everything is an object. Absolutely everything is an object. The big problem you have with things like VBScript and what's Linux's tool? Is it grep for you guys that do Linux at all? Is it grep? Anyway, Linux's scripting environment. I think grep is a specific tool in that environment, but the same scripting environment that Linux guys have enjoyed for decades now. Is it Corn Shell? Okay. Still only has textual representations of the items that you pull back, and you can't actually alter those in the pipeline. And that's one thing that PowerShell gets right off the bat, is the fact that when I pull up these objects right here from my task list, anything in this task list while it's in the pipeline, I can actually alter and work with and do anything I need to with it. It's not just a text representation like it is in VBScript. So if you call the same thing in VBScript, you would have to save that into an array, and then you would have to call one of those. You'd have to create an object, and you'd have to make a separate call for every single one of them, and you'd have to work with that separately. But here, it's very powerful and very dangerous because you can do anything you want to right here.
Just remember that's my laptop.
Yes. So I'm going to show you how they integrate now. Okay. And the heat's on tonight because I got 2 MVPs sitting there just going like this watching me, and I'm on one of their computers. So I keep using your mouse pad instead of your mouse. I can't stop doing that. One of the things also about PowerShell is you have full access to all of the .NET namespaces and classes. And they, like I said, that's no big deal because that's how they write all of the commandlets for PowerShell. But anything they haven't written for PowerShell, you can write yourself. There are several third parties that have already done it. The PCSX up on Codeplex has just a couple dozen, if not more, extra commandlets that you can download and install as a provider. And we may get into some of that stuff later on in the series. Why should you care about PowerShell? Mainly because Microsoft and everybody else is moving to it. Quest already has PowerShell providers for Lightspeed. Everybody's doing PowerShell providers for VMware and Hyper-V, and they're coming up with database access providers and email providers, and everybody's coming up with different providers, different network type stuff. It's all over the place. It's not going away. It's like, knowing how to type and being, in IT. You should know how to type. You should know how to do PowerShell. Let's see, I had a couple demos here. I'm still throwing all out of whack because I'm on a different box and everything looks different. And
You're doing good.
who was that? Ah, nice. But I can't count it because you're doing well. Now, if you'd have said goodly, I could have given it to you.
That's the comeback I've ever heard.
Okay, one of the big things is it's like any other technology. You really should know when to use it and when not to use it. And I'm going to try to point those things out as we go along because when I first started this, everything was PowerShell. Everything I did was PowerShell. And even inside of SQL, inside of jobs, and there were things that didn't need to be because it was ridiculous. It's just an extra layer of call. So if you don't need it, don't use it. And hopefully we'll be able to get into those as we go along. You look like you have something burning. No? Okay.
It's just a pizza.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, so I'll give you a quick demo here of interaction. Let's see if I can do this on the fly. If I say, because I promised you I'd show you how well that PowerShell integrates with the command line. So if I say something like, this is my text, right? And I know I typed that badly, but that's all right. Then I'll pipe that too. Yeah, I know. I'm on a different keyboard, man, so you got to give me a lot of slack. That's not much of a compliment. You're horrible at this. And then I'll say, what do you call it, backslash? Text. That should do it, right?
Nice spelling.
There we go. Yeah, I know. You saw that too, huh? So I should be able to have it here. And there's... Anybody see my file? I'm sorry? Sorted by name. There it is. I'm an MVP. I can sort by name. Okay, so you see how easy that was to pipe text to a file, right? I have a demo that does that in VB, but I haven't tested it on this computer, and I'm not feeling very confident about it. So I don't know what the state of VB script is on this box, but everybody's seen it. Here, I'll show you the code at least. So much for sort by name. How is it? There it is. So if I come here and say create file, I'll say open with. I should be able to edit. There you go. So there's doing the same thing in VB script, and I did it with just a few characters in PowerShell. So mega difference in what you would ordinarily see. So okay, that's cool, right? You can do that. That's not really the demo. I just wanted to show you that. Now, as far as the interaction goes, let's say if I wanted to say create a variable. I just create a variable and I'll say equals backslash, right? Enter, and then I can say Notepad, that's right. Notepad. There we go. So the significance there is I was able to run a normal command shell application and pass it a PowerShell variable. That's actually pretty cool because then I can do stuff like stop and start services, right? I could do, let's say if I did this, come back to D. have my thing. Well, I'll just do this instead. Notepad. Okay, so I got Notepad started. And let's say I wanted to do a task list. Okay, fine. But let's say I want to, let's see, what do I want to do? I'm sorry? Yeah, here's what I'll do. I'll say var2 equals Notepad, and then I'll say anybody remember what that is? I had that on my thing. I had that script on the other thing, and I've lost it. Where is it? I was doing that just today. Let me do this. Nope, that's wrong. Nothing's where it should be on your keyboard, Peter.
You're doing well, Sean.
Ooh, and grammar too. There we go. Let's see what I'm looking for. Mine? Anybody see the parameter I'm looking for? Because I forgot to copy something on my thing, so... Oh, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Paste there. Wouldn't that be nice to paste?
Yeah, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? It would be great. Okay, so I'm going to... You got a Skype?
That's a great university Powershell.
Are you getting a call?
Just type an answer.
Well, what is that? What is that?
There's a conference phone. It's probably the conference phone.
Someone on the book.
Someone really wants to suck up.
He just tells y'all he's down there looking for a conference phone. Yeah, I know. That's still funny.
Yeah.
Way to be, man.
Nice recovery.
Yeah. Yeah, you like that? I programmed that myself. Okay, and now my hip is going off too. Okay, one of the things you're going to find that's really cool in PowerShell is everything is piped, and this is one of the main tenets of PowerShell is that you pipe one set of results to another command, to another command, to another command, and the way that looks is, let's say I wanted to say get the services, so I got all the services on here, right? And it's just that easy. If you wanted to do it on another box, you could pass it a parameter, and you have to use the WMI provider for it, but you could still do it. But you can get all the services, you can get all of the tasks, you can get all of the everything, and you can actually do stuff with them. So if you look here, and this is where I break down always, because it's like, where do I go from here? Because there's like 100 things you need to know at once in order for me to give you a complete picture of this. So in order to pipe, see, and I'll just use the up arrow. Let's say I wanted to pipe this to format table. If I could type AT. Okay, so I pipe that to format table, and it doesn't look any different right now, right? But it will in a minute. But this pipe symbol right here that we're looking at, and I'll scroll that down just a little bit to make it easier to see. I'm going to use Peter's fancy little thing here. Ooh, there we go. So that pipe symbol right there, that's right over the cursor arrow, is think of that as a baton. That's the way I like to think of it. Is like it's a relay race. This command is handing the baton off to this command, and you're going to do things. That's how you're going to sort. That's how you're going to filter. That's how you're going to format things. You're going to do everything by passing that baton. And what I mean by that is let's do another one real quick. Remember a minute ago when I went, God, geez, Peter. So I got help right here, and in any command shell program, you get help by typing /help or /?, right? The way you get help in PowerShell on a specific commandlet is by piping it to get member, and I'm going to use the alias for that, and I'll talk about aliases in a minute, but I think you guys can all pretty well figure out what an alias is, right? But you're going to get the members on that, and you can see all of the methods and the properties that you have available to you. So a minute ago, when I gave this right here, where are you? When I gave this format table right here, what did I end up with? I ended up with status, name, display name. I could easily change what I see, and I can also see what I have available to me. Anything that's marked property is something that I can actually print in that table. Okay? I could also do this instead. Let's do this just to demonstrate. I could format it as a list instead. Okay? So let me go up again. So I'm going to get member on that, and I'm really going to drive home get member in this session and in all the other sessions, because this is really how you find out what you can and can't do. All the methods, they're just functions. These are how you're going to actually alter these objects while they're in the pipeline, how you're going to shut them down, how you're going to do end strings, how you're going to do regular expressions against them. You know, being able to find these things, that's being able to find what you can do. So what I'm going to do here is format table, and I'm going to say I want the name, I want status, and I want can stop. So I've got these guys, right? But that's a little bit wide spacing. I don't really like that, huh? So what we need to do is hit an auto size, and we'll bring those things, and now you see all three of them over here. So we're just doing a little bit of moving around in PowerShell.
Is there I know there are iterators in PowerShell, but is there a way to iterate through the commands that are available for the objects, like a list of objects, like the get service?
Yeah, I mean,
Like you could theoretically iterate through all those and pump them to GM or pipe them to GM, and then push that off as like a SQL Server table and just have like a documented list of everything.
well, no, that's not really how that works. You can't really GM a list of the commands. I've tried. But you can GM just about everything else. So, and that actually brings up a good point, Peter. We're going to talk about help extensively in a minute, because this is going to be your biggest friend. I am in help, I don't know, 12, 15 times a day. And I GM everything I do, because I never remember what anything has to it. So let's GM this one again. So I got get service, and you see the properties I have here. I have a good, like, what, maybe a dozen properties, give or take, right? But if I do something else, if I say, let's do A equals my text, right? And then I GM that variable, you see I have string-specific properties now. The only one I have is the length, but look at all the methods I can perform against that string. It starts with and split and replace and remove and pad left and all of that stuff, right?
So how does it know the data type? Because in Docker you can specify data type, you can specify data type, it's a string data type.
Right. Well, you can strong type your data types. Okay, you can strong type your variables, but it's not necessary. PowerShell does one of two things. It looks at the value inside of there, and it assumes a data type based off of that if you don't strongly type it, or if it's a list of things, a comma stipulated list of things, it automatically creates an array. But I could have strongly typed that, and it would have been the same. Let's say now if I say B equals 1, and then I pipe that to get member, you see I've got completely different members that I can perform against that integer. See, and it even tells me right here it's a system.int32, right? So every single type of object has different members that you can get on it, and that's extremely important to remember. And one of the things that's really going to bite you, and we're gonna do that in a later class, is when you think you're working with the specific data type and you're not getting the members that you think you are because you did something funky. And there are pitfalls all over PowerShell, and I fall for them every single day. So what commandlets are available? And that's the big one. You can do your generic help and then just stand back and it'll more. Now you see all the aliases. Now you're getting into commandlets, right? So I'll Control C that and stop it. There's a better way. If you're looking for something specific, and PowerShell commandlets are named with a pattern. It's always a verb and a noun. So it's always get something, or drop something, or kill something, or spank something, or whatever the verb is going to be. It's always a verb dash noun. It's very, very normalized, and every single parameter is always called with a dash. There's none of this like it is in DOS. Sometimes it's a slash, sometimes it's a dash, sometimes it's a little penguin. It's always going to be a dash. So let's say if you want to, and we'll talk about a little bit of filtering here. Let's say that I know I want to work with, let's see if I can find something. Okay, let's say I want to work with files. I want to either write a file or read a file or do something with a file, and I don't know what's even available. One of the things you can do is help star file star, and you'll see that I've got two. I've got one commandlet for writing files, and then one of them is the file system provider, right? So if I wanted help on that, if I wanted to see specifically what I could do, oops. I'm sorry? Yes, it's the same wildcards that you can use in practically every other language, a star or a question mark. And it follows the same rules. You could say star file or file star or star file question mark, right? So you can mix those as you see fit. So if I want to do help out file, it'll tell me what it does, and it'll give me all of the syntax, and then it'll give me a detailed description, some related links, and remarks. And down here, and you'll use this a lot, it always says, for more information, type out file detailed or full. So we'll do that. So we'll say detailed, and we'll get all that stuff we got before. And now we're going to actually get some examples of different ways to use it. And the examples vary. Sometimes they only have one, sometimes they have 7. It's just however many examples they want to give. And one thing I forgot to mention, and this is really important too. See, like I said, everything's really important, and I have a hard time knowing which order to do it in. Everything in PowerShell, and this is as at the heart of everything as get member, okay? Everything in PowerShell is presented as a drive. So just like when you go to the command line and you type C:\enter, right? And now you're on the C:, you type F:\enter, and now you're on the F drive. Everything is presented as a drive. And if you type PS drive, you can see all the drives that you have here. You have your alias drive, your C drive, your D drive, your environment, your functions. Look at this. You have registry. You can access your system registry just like it's a drive, and you can read to it and write from it and alter it and change it and search it and do everything just like you would files on your hard drive. And I don't see anything in here. Peter, you're supposed to have caught my on here, and I don't see the sequel. Oh, you don't have the, I'm not in the SQL. See, I'm used to having mine. I have mine in my profile, so I have mine loaded in the profile. Fine. So if I had the SQL provider in here, you would see SQL Server presented as a drive. Okay? Yeah, I can do it from there. Yeah. But, I'm used to seeing it here. And actually, I've got the PCSX extensions from CodePlex loaded on my box too, so I've also got an RSS feed drive as well. I didn't realize that until one of the last things I taught, and I was like, wow, where did that come from? Started searching through it right there in the middle of the class, started searching through it. Wow, these are all my feeds. I don't know what to do with it yet, but it was really cool. So in here you can CD. Yes?
Suppose you have come up with a very complex Python prepping something to do, and you want to save it so that every time you bring up a command shell or a PowerShell, it automatically reads that. How do you do that?
Yeah, there's a folder you can create in My Docs, a PowerShell profile folder, and you just add a PS1 script in there called Profile or My Profile or PowerShell Profile, and PowerShell Profile, and anything that's in there it'll run when you open up PowerShell. And so I've got that set on my box where I've got really long SQL Server name paths all the way down to here that I run and condense into a single drive and into a single alias, and everything's good. You can set environment variables, you can set aliases, and you have to set aliases that way, right? So yeah, we might get into that kind of stuff. I hope so.
You have something like batch files, I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about.
I'm sorry, repeat that question?
Yes, I think what he's talking about is maybe a batch file, like you can execute a batch file with all these shell commands in it.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You don't need to. If you put them in your profile file, and I don't think Peter has it set up here, but if you create a profile file, which is a PS1 in a specific folder that it's looking for, it'll run all that stuff anyway. So it's kind of the same thing.
Isn't a PS1 file like the PowerShell equivalent of a bat file in Java?
Yeah, kind of, or a VBS file.
You can call that from an SQL agent.
You can call that from an SQL. Yeah. Yeah. I'm answering the specific question that you're asking, not really knowing the nature of it. But the answer to the simple answer to that is yes. Even in SQL 7, you could open up a SQL agent job and create a command line script or a command line step and type PowerShell and then the name of the PS1 file that you wanted to run, and you could run PowerShell from probably even SQL 6.5 if it had command. Anybody remember if it had command? But all the way down to 7 at least, yeah. And Katmai, of course, you can do it natively, right? It's got a PowerShell step, so now you can just run PowerShell code directly in there. I was a little disappointed they didn't transfer that to SIS though. Didn't give us an SIS PowerShell task. I thought that showed somewhat of a failure to complete the category there. Damn this pad mouse. Okay, so a couple more things. Let's do. Let's see if I can find something else here to do. Okay, let's do get WMI object, and then we'll say. Now, the funny thing about this. Remember, I told you that get member every type of object has a different set of objects in its get member, right? So if I do this, it's going to ask me for the class, and it's going to ask me for all of the information because it doesn't know which members to get. Okay, because the Windows WMI providers are going to have different members than the SQL WMI providers, than the Exchange, than the TS, than the everything, right? So I'm going to cancel out of this. So if I do get WMI object, and then let's see, which provider do I have here? Win32 service. Now I can see all of the ones I have for my service, all the methods I can do. I can start, stop, right? I can see all the properties. And remember, all of these properties are the things that you can see when you format a table, right? So I can say, let's go up one more time. Get 32 service. Let's see what I get with that. Oh, good. I get a nice formatted list. I like that. So now I'll use the alias for format table. No, I won't. I'll get you used to seeing it. Format table, and now I can see, what do I have here? Exit code, name, process ID, start mode, state, right? Now I need to go get member, and let's see what we want to do. Format table, let's get display name, what's another property? Path name. We'll just stop there. And again, you see how far away that is? Maybe we'll be able to fix that a little bit if I say auto size. Not much because these guys here are so long. But you see, you can alter that with anything you want, right? Oops. So I do a get member on that again. If I wanted to stop it, do you have a service on here I could stop here? I don't want to stop SQL. I'm going to use it, hopefully. Well, maybe.
SQL Server, SQL 2005 instance.
Okay.
So it's the instance name is SQL 2005.
Oh, okay. Thanks. And that's going to be display name. So what we're going to do here is we'll say 32 service. Stop the Zune service. Yeah, maybe. Okay, so I don't like that deal. Display name. Format table is all I want to do. Okay, so let's find a good one to do. What's the name of that? Oh, that one's too long. It's too long. Yeah, I know, huh? Well, there are too many places for me to mess up in here, and I'm on a different keyboard. That's the excuse I'm going with too. Okay, let's go with this. So instead of format table, I'm going to pipe this to. Let's learn how to filter first. I'm going to pipe this to a where object, which is clearly just like it is in SQL. Has to be surrounded in curly brackets. Now, in PowerShell, we are already, actually, I'm not there yet. Where is it? Property? Where display name, let's say, equals network service. I still have that. Did I do that right? No, of course I didn't do that right. I think it's property, isn't it? I'm off my script now because I'm
Maybe $__.me.
nope. Oh, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Yeah. It's display name though, isn't it?
Take all that, $__.me.
And where's the delete on this thing?
Right there.
There we go. Okay. Dot name, and there we go. And you want me to format it as a table? No, this is good enough. So I got that. Now if I want to do, now I've got my where object, so I've filtered this down. Now I'm going to pipe it to, where are you? Sorry. I'm going to try to use the full thing instead of the alias. Another curly bracket. I swear I can type. See, because I never use this stupid for each. Use that. There we go. Oh, I bet it's not stop. See? Now look, you're going to see something cool here. Because, where are you? I got to do a get member on that to see what the stop method is. Stop service.
I think that service already stopped.
Is it?
Yeah.
Was it stopped?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to start it then.
I thought there was like an Intellisense that if you hit the dot, it would, you would begin cycling through the commands. Is it a tab?
Yeah, tab complete.
Start service. I'm back to the for each again. I swear to God it'll be better next time, guys. I'll be on my own box. That's the excuse I'm going to use all night long. There we go. And now if I say, if I can get back up there to all these. I'll do that. I should have my Zoom service is still stopped. You're killing me. You're killing me. You're killing me.
Does it really matter if the Zoom service is stopped?
Yeah, I know, huh?
Does it really matter?
Well, it matters if iTunes is stopped because it'll drag down your box. So, okay, that's stopping and starting services. all my demos are bombing tonight. I'm going to.
No, they're not. They're terrific.
Oh God, I love you. Come not very flamboyant, but come up and get a thing. Do I? Yes. What do you think? I'm going to call you up here and then punch you in the face? Yeah, I'll redo all these demos when I get everything going, and I'll put that with the presentation material when I put it on the web, because I swear I can do this. I promise. I do it every day. All I do is PowerShell most of the day anymore. Okay, and the problem was I got off script. You know what I mean. Okay, back to PS Drive.
What was said about the Intellisense? Is there Intellisense associated with that?
Is there Intellisense in PowerShell 1?
Is that tab complete? That's an add-on.
West has a few tools called Power GUI. Yeah, it's called PowerShell GUI, but they've got a great little tool that I wish I had had it when it first came out. It's got true drop-down stuff like that.
Right. Right. Yeah, I really don't like their Power GUI at all. For PowerShell editors, I used to use the one that was just acquired by Idera. What was it called? PowerShell Analyzer, or they had a couple tools, and Idera acquired one of them, and now they OEM it. But my favorite one is Primal Script. They've really come a long way. If you've seen the version, and you're shaking your head like it, so if you've seen the version that's current now, it's nothing compared to the version they've got coming out, I think, this month or next month. The new one is absolutely phenomenal. And PowerShell 2, they're putting a lot more of that stuff into their editing environment. They're making it less of a DOS window and more of an actual script editor. So I saw that in the early stages, and it was okay. It's good enough for what it is. So we're almost running out of time. I want to get through one more thing real quick. When you switch drives,
Keep going. I'm not going to have time, so keep going.
Yeah,
really?
good.
Not so focused.
I'm enjoying watching you be tortured up there.
Yeah, no kidding. I was this close to getting off the podium. Okay, so I'll keep going then. Then I can elaborate on a couple things I didn't get a chance to. Aliases. Well, let's go back through help again, because let's say I want to look. Sorry, I'm skipping again. Going through drives. Let's say I want to CD to a drive. If I want to CD to the alias drive, there we go. Do a dir. I can see all of the aliases. Now, one of the things about the aliases is you notice that I can do a dir. I can do a GCI, right? You can, and they all point back to get child item, which is down here somewhere. Get child item right here. You can see GCI right there. Stands for get child item. That's the one I use the most. But dir they threw in there just for the hardcore DOS guys, so that you still feel at home a little bit. CD is another one. CD isn't really a real PowerShell, a real native PowerShell command. It's right there to set location. So it, now.
Switches work?
I'm sorry.
Do the directory switches work? dir /p and all that stuff. So it goes one page at a time and all that stuff.
I don't know.
Just curious.
No. Nothing to do it but to do it, right? So, but one of the things you can do is the CD ... and CD / works. But there's a special way you have to do it, because since this is an alias, it actually points to a commandlet. So you have to actually pass the ... and the / as parameters. So all you have to do is put a space ... and you can go one level up. I mean, I'm in the root level of alias, so it's not going to go anywhere, right? But same thing, / space / and you're there. Okay?
Can I create my own aliases too, or can I create my own aliases?
Yes, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, let's say there's get alias, new alias, right there. And then if we say P, we can see the parameters that it accepts. And if I do a detailed, I can probably even see a couple examples of that. Here's one example of it. List, get children. I want to type it to list. The problem is those don't persist, right? They're only active for the current session. So if you've got the same aliases that you want to use every time, you have to put it in your profile and have it loaded every single time. Learn that lesson the hard way.
awesome that output?
I believe there is. I never use it, so I don't know it off the top of my head. Anybody else?
That's why I asked.
Is there a way that you can control whether or not when it moors, when it pages? I think you can, but like I said, I never use it, so it always does a pretty good job of doing it itself. So I just hit them. Who said that? Let's try that. Well, it's already going to pipe this one anyway, so there's no. I couldn't test that right here because it's gonna do that anyway. It's gonna.
You can do DAR.
All right. If I were to say help, see, it's gonna do that anyway. So.
Use task list or something like that.
Well, that'll work because that's a regular DOS command. So it'll probably work, sure. I wonder if more is an alias for something. Okay, let's jump on into SQL. And ordinarily, this has really gotten a lot of flack. The Commandlet, the provider that they provide, and Katmai, it's really gotten a lot of flack because you can't load external providers in it. I don't mind that as much as a lot of people do. If I want to do that, I'll shell out here and do it from what I call PowerShell proper. But if you access PowerShell from Management Studio, it's case sensitive. Not case sensitive. It's
Location?
yes, thank you. It's location sensitive. So if I do it here, I say start PowerShell. I'm going to start it at the default instance level. If I come here and do it on AdventureWorks, it's automatically going to put my path at AdventureWorks. Okay, and this holds true, and everything we've done holds true. Everything we've done so far holds true. So if I want to do a GCI on that, I can see all of the drives that I can go to. So let's say I'll say start procedures and do a dir on that, so I can see all the procedures that are in there. What can I do to these procedures? Anybody know? I don't know. I can say GCI and pipe that to a get member, and I can see what I can do to all the procedures. So these are all the methods that I can perform against the procedures. And these are all the properties that I can see about the procedures. Okay? And you notice, if I go up a level, see, that works now because I'm back at AdventureWorks, and do a dir. Now I can go to schemas, do a dir on that, or a GCI. It all works. And you can see the schemas in there. What actions can I perform against the schemas? Let's do a get member and see what we can do against the schemas. These are the properties I can pull on them. These are the methods that I can do on them. We're going to be using these in later classes. This is where we're going to spend most of our time, is doing most of the SQL stuff in here, because there are a lot of pitfalls.
So can you do this in 2005 and 2008?
This will work against 2005 if you're on a Katmai instance. If you're on a SQL 08 instance, you can access a remote 2000 or 2005 or maybe even 7.0 box.
Yeah, but if you're not on a 2008,
you don't have the PowerShell
right,
yet.
That's what I was asking.
But
2008 instance or 2008
tools. Yeah. The PowerShell provider for Katmai is installed with the client tools.
In 2008?
In 2008, yes.
Okay, but
Not
not 2005.
2005. Right. But, and I keep trying to say this, but I talked to them just yesterday, and they're actually creating a separate install for the PowerShell provider for SQL so that you can install it separately on a 2005 box. I don't know when that's going to be ready, but I do know that they're working on it. But as it stands now, anything you need, you can just install the Katmai client tools, and then you can have this. But yeah, it works just fine against all the other databases. Absolutely. Let's go up another one again, and let's do another dir. Every time I say it, I do it. Let's look at tables. Let's see what the tables we have. What can we do to these tables once we get them? Let's do a get member and see. These are all the properties we can pull on them. These are all the methods we can pull on them. We can rename. And this is all nothing but what? This is all just SMO, right? I mean, this is just an SMO wrapper. But you've got a lot of methods that you can perform against the tables, right? It's really pretty cool stuff. I'm trying to think of something that I might want to do, because I'm totally off the script now. I'm just kind of moving around in PowerShell. I'm trying to think of something that I'd want to do. Let's see. What do I have? Sir?
Can you do something like replace the first character in a file with something else? Like if you have a file, a text file that's got a bunch of characters, and you just want to change the string from, say, hello to mellow or something like that.
In a text file?
Yeah, just like from things that you can write a command script and change it. Just the equivalent of Unix set is basically what I.
Can I just take like, can I just change like the first?
First or given a character within the text file, replace everything with this string with that string, and just run it at the command line and put it in the file.
Absolutely. Do I feel like doing it on the fly in front of 70 people? No, but I've had a really good run today. So no, but I will show you. Let's say if we go, CD. So if we're here, I've got these files. Let's pick a file. Get member. Let's see what I can do to the file. What did I do? Oh, in PowerShell, stop it. Oh, sorry. Let's see, what do I have to do with that?
You have to assign it to a variable, and then
Yeah.
so you have the variable.
Nope.
No, well, then you hit enter, and then on the A, pipe GM.
Yeah. Nope. Well, no, because that's going to make it the literal string and not the file itself. I need to pull a. I know what I need to do. And here we go. What I need to do is I need to set. I need to put that in parentheses. I need to do a get object, a get item on it, in order to do that. Your answer is yes, and I need to do a get item on it in order to make that happen. In order to actually set that. So let's see if I can do that. And this is another thing I'm going to do on the fly. I should learn my lesson by now, but I'm going to try it anyway. Is it set item or get item? Do you remember? I think it's get item, isn't it? I'm going to try set item. No guts, no glory. That's right. Get item. Let's say.
Go ahead, Peter.
No, I don't feel. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not going to do that on the fly. I've messed up enough tonight. So going back to SQL.
Is there a way you can do? How will you do like? Give me all the columns in a specific table. If I wanted to list all the columns.
Okay. So let's pick a table. I've got sales.store. Okay.
Let's say I want to get all the columns for all the tables.
All the columns for all the tables?
Like an array within an array. That's basically what
Yeah. I would have to do a cursor within a cursor, and that a loop inside of a loop. And I could do that, but I don't feel like doing that on the fly. And this is all the stuff that we're really going to get into in later classes, I promise. And I'll even be better prepared. I was really thrown by the events earlier today, and I'm not even looking at my notes anymore. I'm just kind of.
Once you've gone into sales.store, are you essentially in the table at that point? Or are you just in the definition, the metadata about the table?
Right. While it's in the pipeline, you are actually in the table.
Okay, so you could browse the data by doing a DIR on the table.
No, that's not really how it works. I mean, it's really the metadata on the table, but you're still in the tables and you're still actually affecting the table. Because if I were to, let's see, I'm in the store, so let's say, what can I do here at the table level? I've got a lot of methods here I can do at the table level.
Can you script the table out to a text file, like so I can recreate it somewhere else, like rename?
Absolutely. Scripting is one of the big things that, scripting tables and objects is one of the big things that PowerShell does very well. And we're going to get into we're probably going to dedicate an entire class to scripting, probably class 3 or 4. It's easier than anything else you've ever done, and it's harder and trickier than anything else you'll ever do, because there are so many little pitfalls in there. And you know what I'm talking. You're shaking your head like you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Tables are easy.
Yeah, tables are, well, a couple weeks ago, I had to script 5,000 stored procedures out of a database, and you can only script a create, so I had to change the create to alter inline and then reinsert them back into the database. And it's not always create procedure, it's not always create space procedure, sometimes create tab, 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 space, 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 proc. And you know what I mean. So you get into regular expressions and all that stuff that we're gonna get into. One of the things I'd really only planned on doing the extreme basics tonight, and we're getting kind of past what I even intended to get into. Give me a second here, and I'll go back through and see if there's anything I've skipped over. Go back over some more basic of basics. Is there anything other than the stuff I've completely screwed up? Anything in the basics that that somebody doesn't understand, as far as accessing by drive or creating aliases?
No, it's I guess a little more general than that. If I create something in PowerScript that I really like and I want to reuse, do I have to be in PowerScript to use it? Is there some way for me to run it from through a batch file, or because you said earlier, dropping down to the command line and running things. Do I have to drop to the command line and open PowerShell and then run it, or can I just how does that work?
Well, if you want to run a PowerShell script, usually you would run it like you would any other kind of script. Okay, you'd either drop out to DOS and type PowerShell in the script name. Okay, or you can go to PowerShell and just type in the script name. Right? You have to qualify it with the path. You can't just, even if you're in this directory, you still can't you can't say my PowerShell script.
Yeah,
you still have to qualify it.
You have to be in the PowerShell environment to run all these things, or you can run them from outside.
No, you can run them from outside. You can run it from damn pad. You can run it from down here and say. Right? You could run it like that.
So would it stand to reason anything you could type in a PowerShell, you then put it after the word PowerShell, and it would run in the command? Like in a DOS prompt? So anything you would do there in the DOS prompt, you'd put in front of the PowerShell command, you could do anything. Like you had existing batch files or something that just ran. You go into a batch file, and you put PowerShell in front of it, now you can do so much more.
Like PowerShell space mybat.bat?
Right.
I've never tried that. I don't see why you wouldn't, do you? I've never tried that, but I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to do it. As long as you qualify the path, right? That's one of the security the security measures they put in there, was that you can't call a script unless it's qualified with a path, even as long as it's .whack, where you can fully qualify it, right? But it has to have some kind of path qualifier in there to keep external sources from being able to grab that, execute a function by the same name. and take over your box. So they make you qualify it. PowerShell by default won't run scripts. You have to, and it doesn't have the PS1 associated with PowerShell. So in order to get it to run scripts, we ran into that even back there setting up this box. I can tell Peter's never run a script on his box. How do I tell whether or not PowerShell is set up to run scripts? Let's say help policy, I think ought to do it. So I get execution policy and set execution policy. So I can say get execution policy. Oh, I'm in SQL. Oh. Get execution policy. Right now I have it set for remote signed. That means all remote scripts have to be digitally signed. You can set it for, see, what are all the values? Does anybody remember? That's not right. And so, unrestricted, remote signed, all signed, and restricted, right? So by default, you can't run PowerShell scripts at all. I always run remote signed. All signed is a little ridiculous because locally I don't want to have to digitally sign all my scripts just to run it real quick.
So how do you import a namespace in PowerShell? Because like in Visual Studio, right, a lot of times there are certain namespaces that are not imported by default, and you have to add a using statement because they're not part of the default in the runtime, right? So is that something PowerShell has a concept on?
That's something that we can definitely do, and you can even call COM objects in PowerShell. I'll give you a demo on that in a later class if we can put a pin in that for now. Anybody else?
Short of installing the SQL Server 2008 tools, can you get to SQL Server just straight from PowerShell without having to go out to the Management Studio and fire off another PowerShell from inside of SQL Server?
Not the same way that we're doing them, accessing them as drives when we're in here. You don't have this kind of construct where the drives are presented. You can read and write from SQL in regular PowerShell, but then you're just calling the .NET ADO and data reader objects.
Could you use that? You could use the SMO objects though. You have to install and address
Yeah.
any other .NET object.
Yeah, you can call SMO. Right.
You just don't get the pretty interface.
Right, you just don't get the pretty interface. Anything you could do, any external interface you could call, like SMO or a third-party provider or .NET, you could do, but you wouldn't get this nice context-sensitive, that's the word I was looking for, context-sensitive structure here, so when you right-click, you'll already be there, and you won't get it presented as a drive. Right.
So Sean,
Sir.
so we're going to bring a laptop so that we can follow what you're doing. What should we put on the laptop?
I will let you know.
Okay.
I will let you know. And bring an extra one for me. You notice here, now I'm in the SQL provider. I'm in the SQL Server PowerShell, and you notice here I've got SQL Server listed as a provider. And one of the things that you should be made aware of, let's see, I'm already in here, so let's see, right? So when you connect to a box, Peter 64, God.
Access SQL 2005.
Huh?
Go to the other instance.
Well, I was already here. I just want to show them how to connect to an instance. It's instance aware. So you always have to connect to the default. If you don't, you'll get an error. So you always have to, even if you're connecting to the default instance, you have to actually specify default. If you're connecting to a named instance, obviously. What? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to reveal Peter's super secret XYZ account. So I do a get member on that, and I can perform all these methods on here. Let's go back out to PowerShell proper and talk about variables real quick. In PowerShell, you've seen me do it a couple times. You don't have to do an option explicit. You don't have to declare variables. You can just use them. Right? So you can just use variables. And one of the things I really like, I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself here or not. I'll show you how to strongly type. Right? So you can strongly type as well. If I say, what was that? Was it 32? Let's say, get 32, right? So, let's see, probably pretty nasty.
Or do they change types depending on what you assign them?
No. They do if you don't strongly type them.
Right, so if you had a string
I just
C
did.
and you didn't put a strongly type in front of it, and you said equals I like pi, and then a minute later you said string sign C equals 12, it would just assign 12 and change the variable type to integer.
Yeah, sounds right to me. Let's say A.
I'm asking the expert.
Oh, I'm not an expert, dude. I am not an expert. So let's check it out. We got A, right? And we have all the methods for A. Equals 32. Let's see if it changed. It changed.
Yeah, but it was never strongly typed to begin with.
Right, but he didn't ask me if
That
it
was
was.
my question. Do they change types if you don't strongly type?
Obviously. 'Cause
Yeah, I answered the question he asked.
that's type.
If you strongly typed an integer and assigned it quote to quote, it would convert it?
Say that again?
Right.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Well, let's say if it was possible to do a conversion, will it know to convert? If you have a strongly typed integer and assign it a string that could be converted to an integer.
Oh, I see.
It automatically gives it that.
No, it should still be a string.
It only retains that type whenever you initially assign it. You have to strongly type it at that point. It will remain an integer throughout its life unless you assign it something else.
Right.
If you use $C again and put in I like pi, then it becomes a string. So it doesn't retain its data type if you do a different assignment.
Okay, but it wouldn't be just strongly.
The question I heard was like if you strongly type it and then send it an integer and close quotes.
Right, yeah, I get it. And I think it would, if you strongly type, oh, you're saying if you strongly type an integer and then you type it 32 in quotes. Oh, sure.
I kind of hope it error.
Really, that's not strongly typing as a traditional programmer would know. It's not going to retain its data.
What's the value of it?
And then, I don't know, it did it.
So you got to watch out for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because really what you're doing is you're casting the variable, you're not really.
Yeah, but it automatically
strongly
casts
typing.
it for you. It does what you might not expect it to do that.
Right, exactly. Anything else? This is, how do I put this? This is the most basic class you will ever get. And this is bottom of the barrel kind of, and most of the stuff you're going to do in PowerShell for many, many months is going to be trial and error. I do stuff, I trial and error all the time.
Now you have put in a shameless plug for some of your videos. Oh, magnificent.
I like that one. I like that one. Yeah, you just got a book. No, I haven't put any shameless plugs for my videos because it's still before midnight, so I'm not allowed to mention those before the black cats cross. No, I mean everybody here knows Midnight DBA, right? There you go. That's the answer.
Best site ever.
Best site ever. Nah, that's not very flamboyant, dude. So yeah, and you know, honestly, when I'm sitting at my desk late at night and I'm doing Camtasia and I'm making these videos, everything comes a lot easier than it does in front of 70 people and on somebody else's computer with Peter sitting back going, yeah. So, but yeah, honestly, for the videos, I never even plan anything. I mean, I just sit down and start doing stuff. So any mistakes I make, I keep in, and I don't do any editing whatsoever or whatnot. And I'm not going to edit this, so anybody on the internet's going to see every single mistake I've made. And I actually taught a class very similar to this a couple months ago that I'm about to put up, and I made far fewer mistakes. So I'll prove to you that I actually can do this. Let me see. What haven't I talked about? Because I'm kind of running out of actual written material here. I really, really don't want to get into running scripts tonight, except to say that most scripts that you write are going to be either little one-line scripts or they're going to be this long. PowerShell scripts tend to be extremely easy for convenience or extremely complicated. There's not really much in between. And I mean, and some of the scripts we're going to write in here that I'll show you and I'll talk you through do some very simple things, but by the time you add in error checking and you add in functions to do certain things, I mean, the script is already 2 pages long and it really does, but it's only got like 4 or 5 lines of actual work in it. You know, I mean, most of the stuff I end up doing in PowerShell is prep stuff, a little bit of work, and then more prep stuff. Right. How much time do I have, Peter? It's 8:15.
How long does it take you to play all of those books?
Yeah. What time do we have to be out of here?
You have until Street gets back with the raffle tickets, and I hand it out. So.
Okay, so you're going to do raffle tickets for the books?
Yeah, well, we have a couple of things that are like big prizes, so we want to raffle those off. So
Right. I had just planned on letting everybody mud wrestle for the books.
Free for all? No, there are a couple of prizes, like I have Vista Ultimate.
Well, yeah, that's for your prizes, but for the book bazaar, I had just.
And I have a few more books to add to that pile.
Oh, do you? Well, go add them.
So, well, have at it until we get to the.
Okay. Okay.
When you've got one of these command line scripts out, how is it read? Is it read from left to right and processed that way, or does it jump ahead to various other parts? What is the processing model for the script?
To my knowledge, okay, I'm going to qualify that. To my knowledge, the way.
Vast and extensive.
Yes, it is. The way I analogized it at the beginning is accurate. The pipe is like a baton. So it takes it, then it hands it off to this side, then it hands it off to that side, then it hands it off to that side. Okay? Yeah, left to right. And I don't think that's inaccurate.
What about line breaks within the script? Line breaks within the script. In other words, you format it for readability so you can see things. Does it process the entire command, or does it process a line at a time?
In general, line white space doesn't really matter. There are exceptions where the start of a command has to be on the same line, like the start of a for each loop has to be on the same line as its beginning bracket, but the ending bracket can be anywhere, and it'll give you a really funky message that means absolutely nothing to you if you put the curly bracket on the next line. And you'll sit there for 3 days and try to figure out what the hell's wrong with this script and hit the internet and look for this obscure error message and not do anything, and then you'll move that up and it'll work, and you'll. But I'm feeling much better now. Let's see, what else? Okay, let's work on Let's see if I have anything. Let's sort some objects. Let's work on sorting. Why not?
Great job improvising, by the way.
Hey, who was that? Yeah, go ahead. You know what? Y'all suck up worse than any group I have ever seen in my life.
Nice and salty.
We expect nothing less. We're not marketing.
Yeah. Okay, so what do I want to be for this? I want to do a get alias. Let's get alias. The problem with get alias, obviously, is I can't find anything because nothing is sorted, right? It's actually sorted by over here. So I want to sort it by the alias name itself. And to do that, I'm going to pipe it to the sort object. I'm going to sort by property name, and then I'll do that later. And that should work. So now I'm sorted by name. And now I can actually find something. There's the question mark. That's the where object. So now I'm going to take that and I'm going to pipe that to the where object, put my curly brackets, and then I'm going to say for each of these equals SP. And now I can see just the SP. That's a little bit convoluted just to get the SP, but if you're looking to snipe something, maybe you've got 7,000 SPs in there, aliases that you've created, right? I don't think we actually talked about this guy right here. I'm going to use Peter's cool little thing here. Hold on. I can't do that. I'm going to use Peter's cool little thing here. There we go. So this $ underscore, I started talking about that earlier and then somebody got me distracted. $ underscore is the built-in iteration variable. So that means the current iteration in the loop. So what that's saying is, oh wow, this is cool. I really like this. So I'm going to get all the aliases. I'm going to hand them off to the sort object. I'm going to sort by property. Then I'm going to sort by which property. I'm going to sort by the name. Then I'm going to hand that off to the where object, which is a filter, right? The same thing it is in SQL. That needs brackets. And then I'm going to say for each one of those, I'm going to take the name where it's equal to SP. Fair enough? That's a nice little walkthrough of one of those things.
I know you said it very well, but
I like that. It's this button. There we go. I'm just still not used to your mouse, Peter. Let's see. There was something else I wanted to show you. Where are we? Okay, SP and
Get child item and a couple others. What are some of the more common commands that we would use?
oh God, common commands. I mean, give me a sec. Right now, I want to show you a regular expression real quick. Where the hell is that? I can't find. There it is. There we go. So you can also search. You can also do regular expression matches. So anything that starts with N. Common commandlets, you said. The ones I use the most.
Just so you can really kind of get up and feel like I'm doing something within PowerShell. Yes, I could list things out. Okay, now what?
Okay, the more common ones, you're going to control services.
Okay.
So you're going to do a get service. You can either call the methods on those. So let's say these are all of the services. These are all the service commandlets. Now you can do a get service, and then you can put that through. You can put that through a for each, and then you can call the stop or the start service method, or you can just call the stop or start service commandlet. Right? out file is extremely popular because out file because that's where you put everything, right?
Is there a way to read things in from a file?
Get content. Get content. So I can say get content. Where am I? Let's find. I put something on D earlier, didn't I? My file. And I can get the content. I can get that content and pipe it somewhere else and do something with that. That's one of the things that we're going to do when we start getting into the database stuff is we're going to start with a list of databases or a list of servers in a text file, and then we'll iterate through those and do something on each one of them.
Now, on those methods, you have parameters, and you can send in some integers and strings. But what about complex types? This is all practically VB, right? And you call some of those methods with numbers or a name of a service to stop or something like that. You really can't do complex types, of course, but then you run all these methods with parameters. There was a question there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not getting what the question
so can
is.
you show us an example of real usage instead of going into VB and writing it or running a VB script? We have methods on these things like get value of the service the last restart of the computer or things like that.
Yeah. Give me something specific.
I don't have it.
Well, I mean,
but that's what we can do past.
Well,
Into the directory. And
well, yeah, but that's what all this is. I've been showing you. Anytime I say get service, these are the properties of all the services.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm thinking more like the methods on toString, or when you have to send in parameters. Then you can get powerful at selecting things more like a batch file, but yet sort of VB.
On your A variable that you had earlier, you know how you did a $A type GM? One of the methods was like to upper or to lower. Is that what I think it is?
Yes.
Can you show me how you use that method?
Sure, I hope so. On the fly?
I mean, I was just thinking uppercase your entire sentence. I just want to see how that method works.
I can try.
Or how to do a method.
Yeah.
Well, see, earlier I was doing, here's a string, your variable. Got toString, well, it needs a parentheses, and now you practically run VB script. Or VB.
Say that again.
All of those methods take parentheses and parameters just as if they're being reflected. So,
They actually are being reflected.
right, and that's where I'm going with. This is powerful because anything you do there, now you can start learning the parameters, but you have to go into .NET language and learn what those methods really do.
Right.
Managed.
Right, and a lot of things that you can do in PowerShell aren't really documented as well in PowerShell. You end up in the SMO documentation or the .NET documentation, the VB documentation. You end up in the TS documentation for it because they call the direct, and a lot of times you have to actually create that object, that direct .NET object. So you have to actually create an SMO. You have to actually load SMO up in here, create an SMO object, and now you're actually working in SMO. So
you load each of these in the current environment in those strongly typed objects, and then you call some method now that you've set it up, and then you run it, and you avoided a developer.
right, and it's all scripted. And I will answer your question. Let's take it offline afterwards. We're about to do this. So, and that's actually one of the things I've got planned for the stuff I'm going to send out after this class sometime next week. But yeah, that's definitely.
Is there a book you recommend?
Is there a book I recommend? I think PowerShell Step by Step by MS Press isn't too bad.
One of these books here.
There is a PowerShell Step by Step in there. There's also if you want an actual something better than a book, Sapien has a set of PowerShell tutorial videos. Sapien, they're the ones that write Primal Script, and they've got a set of PowerShell videos by Don Jones, and they're absolutely phenomenal.
Don Jones is great.
Yeah, Don.
PowerScript is
Well,
we're talking, it doesn't do just PowerShell.
right.
Script, you name it, so JavaScript, HTML,
And not only is Don Jones great, but this is actually his best work to date. If you've ever seen his old VB stuff, it's really good. But, I'm sorry? Oh, I see. Y'all just aren't very flamboyant people. You just really aren't. You just really aren't. So, okay, this was kind of a warm-up for me as well. You know, I was plagued with one thing or another. I don't have my database on here. I don't have, you know, whatever off. We got off script a lot, and I just kind of free-handed it. And I was given a lot more time than I planned for, and so on and so on and so on. So we've got the basics, and that's what I really hoped for. I hope, right? The basics don't work, but we've got them anyway. Next time, we're going to hit the ground running in SQL, and we're going to start doing some real project-based SQL stuff. I haven't decided what that's going to be yet, but I've got a whole scad of PowerShell scripts that I've written for work because I do almost all of my database admin in PowerShell these days, because I run across things like I need to add the same user with the exact same permissions to all of the schemas in the database. I need to cursor through all of my servers and remove this one user because he just got canned or something like that, right? So these big things that you can do in this much code, that you would take this much code in T-SQL. And no, you told me to take all the time I wanted, so I'm gonna.
No, until we got back and we were ready.
Oh, damn, that is
We're
what you
back and
said.
ready.
Okay, so
Are you using version 1 or 2?
this is version 1, because that's what he's got on his box. I have version 1 on my box too, so that's no excuse.
And it only works, and for the SQL stuff, you gotta get the 2008 tools.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely.
Post what we'll need for the next one to be able to follow along
Yeah, we're gonna have
on the website.
yeah, we're gonna have a tab on the website for this.
And you know, and sorry, Peter, I'm going to do one more thing.
No worries.
The